Welcome back to the channel, Lancers. Today's video is a knockout. I hope that everyone is having a good day, and if you aren't, try this build and take out your frustrations on some Scar, Outlaws, or Dominion. Because no enemy will be able to stand before your power. Literally. You can stagger nearly every enemy. As always, if you enjoyed this video and find it helpful, then like and subscribe for more Anthem content. Also share the video and help spread positive support for Anthem and the upcoming content, The Cataclysm. So this is a blitz build. That's the strategy. Rush them down, then knock them down. That's the tactic. This build is about isolating your targets, blitzing them, and then beating the life out of them as they won't be able to fight back after they are initially meleeed. And, in case we need them, we have two close quarters weapons, Unending Battle and Rolling Carnage, at our disposal to lay down even more hurt. We'll be using the cold-blooded grenade here because that's just how it is. We don't care. We'll be breaking legs, arms, and backs, then leaving our enemies to deal with the aftermath. Our primary tactical play will be to engage our enemies with the cold-blooded grenade. Then we will follow up with a combo detonation by way of the Avenger's Boon. This will proc our melee buffs. Now we blitz the enemy with a melee attack, then dash, then re-engage with a melee attack. That's the combat sequence. Initially, we will want to target low-level enemies for this first attack sequence so that we can proc our Bloodlust melee buff. Rinse and repeat until we are the last one standing. I like this build on the Ranger because you can also prioritize inscriptions like blast damage to synergize with various parts of the build, and by utilizing machine pistols effectively to both combo and build ultimate charge quickly through synergy with elemental ops and the badge of devastation components respectively. And after the update, the Ranger will be able to detonate with melee. So I've been continually prioritizing the Force inscription for this build. And after I received a few more legendary components with the Force inscription, I was able to put the build to the test. And I've come to notice through a few tests that there seems to be a maximum amount of Force that can be applied to your targets. I've been able to increase my Force to well over 100% and can stagger elite enemies but cannot knock them off of their feet. When theorizing this build, I thought that I would be able to knock enemies clear off their feet. After the Cataclysm update, I will be revisiting this loadout as it will be drastically improved. So remember to subscribe and click that bell. Now give the loadout a try and break a leg, just don't let it be yours. Now join me in the Lion's Den so we can review the equipment installed. We'll begin with our grenade. Cold-blooded, upgraded frost grenade. Freezes target in place. Striker strength. Hitting an enemy increases melee damage by 270% for 10 seconds. Key inscriptions, plus 28% damage boost overall for the entire javelin, plus 23% weapon damage for all weapons. Next, we have Avenger's Boon for our assault launcher. Upgraded pulse blast, combo effect, impact. Striker strength, hitting an enemy increases melee damage by 220% for 20 seconds. Key inscriptions, plus 200% gear damage, plus 150% gear damage, which applies only to this gear, plus 25% weapon damage, which applies to all weapons. For our primary weapon, Unending Battle. Upgraded Fulcrum, high rate of fire and decent striking power. Striker Savagery, hitting an enemy at point blank range increases weapon and melee damage by 135% for 5 seconds. Key inscriptions, plus 30% weapon damage, all weapons, plus 150% weapon magazine size, plus 55% weapon magazine size, plus 150% weapon damage, which applies only to this weapon. For our secondary weapon, Rolling Carnage, upgraded Vengeance. 2 shell burst, hit hard. Scout's advantage, dashing increases this weapon damage by 83.3% for 20 seconds, stacks to 3. Key inscriptions, plus 250% weapon damage, which applies only to this weapon, plus 18% force, which applies to the javelin overall, plus 60% shield max. For our first component, we have Emergency Power, an inscribed component that augments javelin ultimate gear and increases damage by 30% of base damage. Ultimate meter refills instantly when armor is critically damaged, can occur once every 120 seconds. Key inscriptions, plus 23% force, which applies to the javelin overall. As mentioned before, after realizing that there is a maximum amount of force that can be applied to your target, I then swapped to the emergency power with the 90% armor max inscription and the 9% damage boost overall for the entire javelin inscription. For our next component, we have Rapid Hollow Points. Adds specialized ammo storage for machine pistols and autocannons. Increases damage by 30%. Increases weak point damage of machine pistols and autocannons. Key inscriptions, plus 25% force for the entire javelin, plus 35% melee damage for the entire javelin. Moving on to our next component, Bloodlust. An inscribed component that increases melee weapon damage by 30% of base. Increases melee damage by 75% for 10 seconds when killing an enemy by using melee. Key inscriptions, plus 20% force, which applies to the javelin overall, plus 65% armor max. And again, you'll notice the force inscription on a legendary component. This is the epic melee inscription component that I utilize when prioritizing the force inscription prior to me receiving the legendary version with the force inscription. And on to our next component, Vanguard's Badge. Increases melee damage by 40% and electric effects by 40% of base. Performing a melee hit restores 40% shields. Key inscriptions, plus 23% luck, which will be converted to armor after the update. Now moving on to our next component, Elemental Ops. Increases fire damage and max heat capacity by 50% and fire resistance by 50%. On a hit streak of 5, applies acid to target. Key inscriptions, plus 8% thruster cooldown, plus 15% overheat delay recovery. And our last component, Tip of the Spear. Increases combo damage by 60%. Performing a combo restores 40% armor to the Lancer and nearby allies. Key inscriptions, plus 33% thruster life. And for our support, Bulwark Point. Deploys a spherical shield that blocks projectiles over the ranger's position. Key inscriptions, plus 20% gear recharge, which applies only to this gear, plus 10% repair drop rate, plus 28% luck, which will be converted to armor after the update. And finally, for our quick overview of Bone Crusher. For our weapons in the primary slot, Unending Battle. Secondary, Rolling Carnage Shotgun. Gear, Avenger's Boon. Cold-Blooded, Bulwark Point. Components, Emergency Power, Rapid Hollow Points, Bloodlust, which all have the Force inscription on legendary items, Vanguard's Badge, Elemental Ops, Tip of the Spear. Please remember that you've seen it here first. Custom inscriptions on legendary items. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.